Studios. This hour of the Sean Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Sean Thompson. And this is the Sean Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made.
We're live from Goldberg's farm in Pingree Grove. And you know who built this farm? The Goldbergs did, not the fracking government. The government just figured out how to be their partner and extort them with the fear of stealing all their assets in a free country. Just let's lay the groundwork of how the mindset of a slave has been bred into us. And when you work, it's even worse when you have a job and they take those taxes out immediately. Then you feel lucky for the 50, the 60, the 70% they let you keep. And that's how you ingrain the mindset of a slave in a society. See, but that's not how it always was. And when we talk about money and taxes and this rat government, understand they work for us, not the other way around. And somewhere in the last 30 years, it was flipped on its ear. And I think it was right around the time when people started to brainwash you with Michelle Obama is beautiful. Next thing you know, you don't know which way is up and how to get out of a room because she's a dog's ass and this is a free country and they don't have a right to steal 30%, 40%, or 50% of your income. And that's why the assault on Donald Trump came. So I want to lay it out a little bit of who we're dealing with when we talk about these professional con artists, suck-on politicians. This is a politician who's supposed to be a senator in a republic. He is supposed to be a lawyer on top of it, and he was supposed to graduate cum laude. His name is Tim Kaine, but he doesn't believe he's your servant or that the government represents you. He believes the government rules over you. This is important to understand why we are in this predicament.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that...
Listen here with your quivering little bitch voice. The reason you say that and the reason you feel like that is you do not understand the very people you represent or the country you represent them in. See, in this country, our rights are God-given, not government or man-given, and certainly not Democrat suck-on given. Now, it would probably be cheaper for me because you could buy a Democrat politician like the old days, $50, you get an alderman to eat a banana and drop off a fruit salad. But now, they're starting to understand what's at stake, and these pesky citizens are starting to think they're the boss. Quick, let's get the Department of Agitation and Propaganda on it. MSNBC yesterday.
What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government, they come from you, our creator, and Heavenly Father? Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence?
Yes, and then citizen above government, and then you, communist, socialist, American, Marxist, Democrat mafia, you're suck-ass last. You're the caboose on the human race, and the idea you think you're going to intimidate people by pretending the government gives me the right to my money. I don't think you understand. There are at least 74 million people who vote the way I think. There is another 75 million who understand the way I think and the way this country is. So that leaves you Democrat, welfare, mandamni, socialist, Marxist morons against all of us. So say when. And I am the huckleberry, and we all are, because we understand why you're so mad at Trump. After all, he recognized his money is his.
Never seen a white male billionaire screaming at the top of his lungs, this whole system is rigged. And the moderator said, well, Mr. Trump, if in fact the system is rigged, what would be your evidence? Remember what he said, bro? He said,
I absolutely used it, and so did Warren Buffett, and so did George Soros, and so did many of the other people that Hillary is getting money from.
No one ever heard someone say something that true. And then Hillary Clinton tried to punch him in the taxes. He said, this man doesn't pay his taxes. He shot right back way.
See, I understand the tax code better than anybody that's ever run for president, and it's extremely complex.
And then he said,
She complains that Donald Trump took advantage of the tax code. Well, why didn't she change it? Why didn't you change it when you were a senator? The reason you didn't is that all your friends take the same advantage that I do. Hillary Clinton has friends that want all of these provisions.
and with that, my friends, the star was born.
What you don't understand is immediately they said he is a tax cheat, when the real tax cheat among us are all of these politicians who have carved out a legal way of bribery in their campaign funds, in their coffers. This is how they sold our country down the river, and this is why $30 trillion, mostly of debt, ends up back in their coffers, because they create the policies to enrich the politician and use the moron citizen as a stalking horse. And that's what Trump exposed. He understood the tax code because he understood how to navigate it if he wanted to keep his own money.
Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors. Her donors took massive tax write-offs.
So have you
a lot of my, excuse me.
Now keep in mind, the idea that most imbeciles walking around, and all Democrats, do not understand that the number 2 plank of communism, the Communist Manifesto, is a progressive tax, which is absolutely and completely unconstitutional, but it's put in place to take away the most from the people who are the best at making it. And therein lies the major problem. Think about how much more prosperous all of us would be if the Americans, if the citizens kept their money. But for some reason, a government who we know misappropriates hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars. Somehow these suck-on Democrats, morons who don't pay attention, feel better when the government has the money and steals the money. This is what they're combating. They're trying to kill the idea of what liberty is and property is in the crib.
A lot of my write-off was depreciation and other things that Hillary, as a senator, allowed. And she'll always allow it, because the people that give her all this money, they want it. That's why. See, I understand the tax code better than anybody that's ever run for president. Hillary Clinton, and it's extremely complex, Hillary Clinton has friends that want all of these provisions, including they want the carried interest provision, which is very important to Wall Street people, but they really want the carried interest provision, which I believe Hillary's leaving. It's very interesting why she's leaving carried interest, but I will tell you.
So the accusation, because he spoke out loud, most of which people do not talk about, and that drives me insane. Why are you afraid to demand your own fracking money when all these socialist, communists, and Democrats are very confident in demanding somebody else's money for nothing? That's the problem with your mindset. And understand what the government realized as the IRS apparatchiks to the Democrat mafia stole Donald Trump's tax returns and leaked them. And then they perpetrated lawfare to keep him against the ropes. Well, he immediately filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the government. Now, who has the power to settle that lawsuit? Only the IRS and the government, the bureaucracy, not Donald Trump. He doesn't have the power, even as president, to settle his own lawsuit.
Up to $1.8 billion could be going to President Trump's allies after his Justice Department announced they were establishing a fund for anyone who...
Listen to how it's reported. This is not anything to do with the fact the IRS and the federal government made an offer and compromise themselves because they knew they were guilty. And for a $10 billion lawsuit, the government begged Donald Trump to take $1.8 billion to make the lawsuit go away. He not only took it, what these propagandists called media, they're upset with the fact how he wants to use it. I don't give a rip if he burns it. It's his. And listen to how the story is told. Anything but the truth.
Believes that they have been unfairly targeted by a federal investigation. Now, this agreement was negotiated by the president's personal lawyers who were handling his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. And on the other side of the table were Trump administration lawyers from the Justice Department, the White House, and the IRS. There was no outside voice here. Now, they say that anyone...
Hey, stupid. Man, oh man, does everybody get their job like Kamala Harris with their top off and a hornswoggler? His lawyers represent him. The government has a team, a football team, numerous football teams full of lawyers. They made the offer. He was the outsider, moron.
With a claim can file for an apology and a possible monetary settlement. They insist there's no partisan requirements, but all of these claims are going to be vetted by a group of 5 people selected by the Attorney General. Now, one will be selected with Congress, but the president can fire any of these people if he doesn't like what.
It's his money. This is always left out. Just like the money that they take from you in your check is your money. You just got used to the idea they could do whatever they want with it. And that's the difference between somebody who understands property rights versus somebody who thinks they're lucky if the government only takes 50% of what they earned.
That, number one, I pay tremendous numbers of taxes. I absolutely used it, and so did Warren Buffett, and so did George Soros, and so did many of the other people that Hillary is getting money.
Why do you think they fear the big, beautiful bill so much? The big, beautiful bill gives you the power over your money. And if you use that money for the growth of your own wealth, your company's own growth, to hire your own employees, you keep the money. The government doesn't want that. That's why it's incentivized to fail, so they can take more from you. Like in Chicago, you pay more, not based on the property value of your real estate, on the liability of the government spending. You pay water for water that they say They give you? How do they own the water? Then you pay taxes on top of the water. Then you pay for them to hire suck-ons at the water department. You don't even know what is yours and what is theirs. You don't even know how many times you're taxed on gas and electricity. This is how you build in the mind of a slave.
Now, I won't mention their names because they're rich, but they're not famous, so we won't make them famous.
Can you say how many years you have avoided paying personal federal income taxes?
No, but I pay tax, and I pay federal tax, too.
What do you think he pays in just property taxes? Just property taxes. As a landlord, that always gets swept under the rug. What do you think he pays on taxes to maintain the property? The people he hires that pay their own taxes. Donald Trump and every one of you that is a capitalist is worth 7,000 government employees who can never pay taxes because their salary is derived from the theft of your money. Understand the game.
People were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax. Tens over the last number of years. Tens of millions of dollars I prepaid because at some point they think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your accountant tell you?
And Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and their liaisons and apparatchiks in the government leaked his tax records. That's what this lawsuit was about from the beginning. And it got me thinking, how many billions of dollars did the Clintons steal just from Haiti? How many billions of dollars were thrown into the Clinton Foundation while the Duchess of Chaffington was the Secretary of State, and then she took her thumb off all the rules and regulations? How much in taxes have Bill and the Duchess of Chaffington paid? I mean, after all, they're worth hundreds of millions that they admit to. Billions if you add in the Clinton Foundation.
That has eroded some trust that we've seen is the issue of your email practices while you were Secretary of State. I think there's a lot of people who don't understand what your thought process was on that. So can you tell me the story of how you decided to delete 33,000 emails and how that deletion was executed?
Well, let's start from the beginning.
Shut up, fatso. Now tell me how the Clinton Foundation never received an audit. How did the Clinton Foundation never receive an audit? And then there's Barack Obama, who likes big butts and he cannot lie. He was late on his car payment for the ghetto Bentley when he was a state senator. Now he owes 50 to 70 million in real estate. Has anybody ever audited the Obama Foundation?
Another matter, over the past few days, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory and undermine the democratic will of the American people. While
not a Somalian was audited either. Starting to see the picture? They are the government. They are the extortionists. And we're the victims if we let ourselves become them. 312-642-5600.
This is the Sean Thompson Show, where Democrats are always